Hello and welcome to your onboarding with Inspected. Today we're going to be discussing the ISPSC 2018 Code as well as how to interact with the inspected software or V3 on our web portal at inspected.cloud. We are glad to have you join our team and look forward to working with you on your projects to build safer, more energy efficient, code compliant pools. To get started, we're going to go over the inspection process and how we look for various code items at each phase of construction. We have 3 inspections through the process that we have here at Inspected: the pre-layout, pre-shell, and the pre-final. These 2 first inspections, the pre-layout and pre-shell, are intended to ensure that you don't have problems at pre-final that become more and more expensive to fix the further along the project gets. So at the pre-layout inspection, the basic idea is to get a understanding of how the pool is planned to be built in a code compliant manner. To do so, we need at least three items uploaded to the web portal. The first is an ISPSC-2018 form. That is a form that the city uses to ensure that you have considered your hydraulics, the pump curve for the pump that you intend to use for your filter pump, and the construction plan with depths, dimensions, suction outlets, and returns indicated on the construction plan. Basically, we want to get a mind's eye of the project. Also, throughout this presentation, I want to throw out a disclaimer real quickly that these bulleted lists are for informational purposes only and do not represent the entirety of the pool code or changes from previous code versions. So moving forward, the ISPSC-2018 form looks like this. It helps you understand what the impact the pipes and pump and the other features of your pool have on the capacity of the pump to move water. This references one of the largest changes pool construction that has been brought in by ISPSC 2018, which is that the water in the pipes cannot move faster than 8 feet per second on the suction side as well as on the return side. So now what that means to you as a pool builder is that the pipes are going to probably be bigger than you're used to, and the pumps will need to be possibly smaller than you're used to, and there may need to be more of them than what has happened in the past. So for some understanding, if a pool is plumbed with 2-inch pipe, the fastest that water can move is 84 gallons per minute, or it is in excess of that 8 feet per second threshold. So if you have let's say you plan on using this TriStar 900 pump, indicated by this pump curve here, at its maximum capacity, and you've calculated your total dynamic head or resistance to flow at around 50 feet, then you'd come across this chart and drop down and realize that if the pump's going to move 105 gallons per minute and you only have 2-inch pipes on the suction side and the return side, and there's only one of them on each side, then you will not be in compliance with code. If you then upsize the 2.5-inch pipe, then this pump at 50 TDH will be compliant. But notice that this pump is capable of going more than 119 gallons per minute. So if you want to be on the safe side, there are some options to plumb your pool and spa and other water bodies to be in compliance. For example, this builder on the left decided to take their main drain and take 2.5-inch suction lines. As you notice from the previous slide, the 2.5-inch line can move 119 GPM each. When they're doubled like that and they go as branch lines all the way back to the manifold, then they can move a total of 238 gallons per minute. Now, that is now limited by the capacity of that suction outlet cover and BGBA compliance, but it is significantly more than a single 2.5-inch or even a 2-inch pipe could handle. Additionally, we have a consistent challenge when it comes to spas, in that when it's in spa mode, the water comes out of one pipe, traditionally goes back to the equipment set, is filtered, sanitized, heated, and returned back to the pool with one pipe. Well, there's a lot of jets in a lot of these spas out here, and it turns out that a 2-inch pipe that can only flow 84 GPM doesn't have a lot of oomph when it comes to being spread around 6 or 8 jets. So in many cases, builders are opting, instead of increasing the pipe diameter, they are increasing the quantity of pipes. So this one, the builder opted to put 2-inch returns on the jet loop, one on the left side, one on the right side, with at least a couple of jets in between them. And that allows the water to be distributed evenly around the jets. So you don't have one jet at 100%, then the one on the corner at like 60%. And it also allows water to move up to 168 gallons per minute, which is more than almost all residential pool pumps can move. So once we've reviewed these items as part of your pre-layout inspection and discussed some safety items that we'll get into in the next slides, you can then upload your APSP 7 and 15 form to the city's AB+C portal. You can click where it says choose file and then add the attachment, and make sure it says attachment successfully added, because the city site sometimes misses that. We cannot upload these documents for you. While we would like to have that service available to you, we don't want to be responsible for numerous login user IDs. And if something happens to your project, we don't want to be the one in line to be questioned. So once that's done, you are free to call in your layout inspection with the City of Austin, and they will ensure that your pool is laid out as you indicated on your plans, and it is free of any other obstructions, overhead lines, trees that weren't accounted for, etc. So once that's done, you're free to dig, form, steel, plumb, pipe, and bond your pool and have it ready for the shell to be installed. At pre-shell inspection, again, happens right before the shell is installed. We want to make sure that you have followed the plan that we discussed at the pre-layout inspection and have other features that are important to pool safety efficiency. So on the picture on the right, you can see that the builder used 3-inch pipe, and they just ran it down the side of the wall and across the bottom of the pool. And then I guess the plumber didn't have 3-inch elbows because they tapered it down to 2-inch on that 45 curve on the left and the right side of those T's, and have effectively bottlenecked their pipes so that it can't move more than 84 GPM, which is the maximum for a 2-inch pipe. So that's a lot of money on a pipe that is only limited to 84 GPM. So consider that in your fittings. Additionally, there is a structural component to consider when you're installing larger pipe. In this case, the pool floor has some gravel on top of it, and then the pipe is on top of it. It's a 3-inch pipe, and sitting on top of that pipe is your reinforcing rebar, and then on top of that, it's probably about 3 inches of concrete, and that is not a significant amount of concrete for a pool shell, especially of this size in these conditions. So when you are considering larger pipe options, discuss with your structures professional on whether you should put a trench underneath, opt for a single main drain, go on the sidewall suction, or other options that are available, including eliminating the main drain. On the picture on the left, that just shows that we want to make sure we see what path the pipe is taking, because this 3-inch pipe that would be sticking out of the ground is actually connected to 2 1-inch pipes, and 2 1-inch pipes don't flow the same as a 3-inch pipe, excuse me. But moving forward, basically, the pipes match the plan. Second, are the proper drain sumps that are VGBA 2017 compliant, and are the pipes manifold and pressurized? The bottom item is not a code issue, but it is a best practice that is used by most pool builders in this area. We want to make sure those pipes are pressurized with water so that it can indicate any leaks that may be present, that it gives the pipe some structural integrity, and it resists heating of the pipes when that shotcrete is installed into the pool or gutting. But circling back to that VGBA issue, VGBA has been updated since its inception to not just require split main drains, but also that those main drains have the proper size sump. A sump is the area underneath the main drain that allows for water to be drawn evenly from all the little holes in the ports and the suction outlet cover. No longer can you just stick a 2-inch pipe out of the ground and stick a lid on top of it and call it compliant. So you need to refer back to the manufacturer's instructions on the main drains so that you can adequately install your main drains and not exceed the flow rating for each setup. Just know that the setup is different if the pipe comes out of the bottom of the sump or comes out of the side of the pump. The main drain is on the bottom of the pool, or if it's on the side of the pool. So again, refer back to your manufacturer specs on this, but just notice that this very popular waterway, is that a 9-inch cover, is very, very common. But if this is in the bottom of a spa and you only got split main drains, the way VGBA works is that you have to be able to accommodate the full flow of the vessel through, assuming one of the drains is covered. So this one maxes out at 100 GPM. If you've got a big old 2.7 horse pump on there with 3-inch suction, 3-inch returns, it's going to move water more than 100 GPM, and you'll be in violation of federal law. So keep that in consideration with your pool construction. We'll be looking for your choice and options. There are main drain options that are unblockable, and they are prevalent across different manufacturers. But the benefit to those are they have a bit of different aesthetic to them and their appearance, as well as their function. And overall, they tend to be able to move a lot more water safely than split main drains have in the past. But moving forward, the next thing we're going to look for is the skimmers. There is one required on each water body. So what is not allowed is the equalizer line. Many of you may be familiar with that equalizer line right down here that comes off the front of the skimmer and is present in the event that the water level drops down too low and the main drain's covered, or the skimmer basket is full and you still need to use that flow of the water to keep the pool pump from cavitating or running dry. Unfortunately, too many builders were not putting VGBA compliant split suction outlets on those, and instead of regulating them, they have eliminated them. So we'll ask that those be cut and capped and rendered inoperable on your pools. Next, you must have at least one skimmer per 800 square feet of water. If the spa is spilling over into the pool, that spillover is the spa's skimmer. But if you have a pool and spa combo and the spa spills over into the pool, you need to add together those surface areas. And if they exceed 800, you need to add another skimmer to the pool. Then again, as I mentioned before, the negative edge, spillover, and perimeter overflow all count as a skimmer. Moving forward, access, or how you get in and out of the pool in code speak. If the pool is deeper than 5 feet, there needs to be a swim out present. If the pool is deeper than 24 inches, there needs to be a means by which to enter and exit the pool. If the pool is longer than 30 feet or deeper than 5 feet, there needs to be a deep area swim out in the deep area. If there are steps, the steps need to be at least 240 square inches, and any risers from one step to the next need to be consistent and not exceed 12 inches. Also, the tread area from heel to toe needs to be at least 10 inches. So over here in this diagram, you can see often the biggest challenge is when the pool has a beach for its first step. That beach is often in 6 inches of water, and so the distance from the top of coping to that beach is almost exactly 12 inches. When a homeowner or designer calls for a deeper beach, consider putting an intermediate step like is pictured here, and make sure that step is at least a 240 square inch step that has a 10-inch tread. 16 by 16 is compliant. So next, any swim outs and benches may be of any size exceeding 240 square inches, but they also cannot be deeper than 20 inches. That restriction allows for somebody to sit on the bench and still breathe at the same time. And it helps when the water quality may not be as high as it should be, or the lights haven't been turned on the pool, and somebody wants to jump into the pool. A bench in 21 inches of water looks like the bottom of the pool unless you've got spotter tiles. So it's a safety issue too. Lastly on this slide, if you do have a true beach entry, it cannot slope down more than 1 foot for every 7 feet of run, or a 1:7 ratio. Next, this code does not prevent slides or diving boards from being installed. It does dictate that they have a manufactured specified dive envelope, which is the width, depth, and distance a pool must be to accommodate somebody entering the pool in a diving board fashion or from the slide. It no longer is the case where builders can stack up sandbags, shoot shotcrete over the top of it, lay some penny tile, and run some water over it and call it a slide. That is no longer compliant. So the next item, and probably the second biggest aspect of change in this code, is that every pool must have a shallow area for at least 6 feet. What I mean by that is in this example, the first pool on the top right, the shallow area starts at the pool wall and goes towards the deep area. It cannot exceed 48 inches of water until it has gone 6 feet. This allows for an area in the pool that accommodates those who are unable to swim, unwilling to swim, or become incapable of swimming, and they need to have some place to set their feet and not be buoyant for a minute. But again, that shallow area exists between 33 inches and 48 inches, and it cannot slope down more than 1 foot for every 7 feet. Then, once you've reached that threshold of a shallow area, you can have a gradual break that goes in not excess of 1 to 3 down to your deep area. This challenge in pool design becomes a little bit more challenging in situations where you have a narrow backyard and the pool is lengthwise and it's a sport depth pool and they've got a beach on one side. That doesn't leave a lot of room for the shallow area to touch the steps and get to that desired 5 foot depth in the middle all at the same time. So be conscious of that when you're discussing with your clients about the pool options and what features are available. Once we have discussed those and ensured that the pipes are under pressure and reminded you about your bonding inspection, you are free to continue to finish out your pool. And when the barrier is up, the equipment's up and running, you final out your trades, the water's in the pool, you've got a clean filter, we can do our pre-final inspection. The pre-final inspection includes 5 categories. I'm going to do them alphabetically. It's the barrier, the decks, the access, I messed up the alphabet already, the equipment set, and the hydraulics, or how the water is moving throughout the system in real time. So for the decks, we want to make sure they are slip resistant, and if they do have any steps, they are uniform. If you have more than 3 risers without a landing, you also will need a handrail per IRC R31178. Those handrails must be compliant and meet certain thresholds. So as far as the deck slope, it must slope away from the pool. And when I say that, it needs to slope either away from the pool or away from or towards a drain. In this scenario that I'm showing you, the pool deck was built before the pool was, and it naturally sloped away from the house to prevent bird bathing against the foundation over there on the left. Well, the pool builder didn't see that slope, and when they cut into the existing deck to build the pool, it turned out that the water does slope off of the deck and into what you'll see gradually as it overcomes that threshold between the deck and the coping, right into that pool. This is all the water coming from the roof with no gutter onto the deck, onto the pool, and making it no longer a sanitary environment. So consider the slope of the decks and mitigate the water flow in a responsible fashion. Next, we're going to look at your plumbing suction, submerged suction outlet fitting assemblies, or SOFAs. The drain covers that we mentioned earlier must be properly installed. I want to see shiny screws in the top of those fittings. And the skimmer needs to be vented. The holes in the top of that skimmer lid aren't just to stick your holes in and take fingers in and take it out. It's also so that you can prevent the skimmer if there's too much rain or somebody leaves the hose in the pool or you have a malfunctioning autofill. That could make it so the water levels above the skimmer throat and create a submerged suction and entrapment danger. The holes in the top of that lid break that vacuum. And you are welcome to install aftermarket skimmer lids as long as they have a means by which to vent to the atmosphere and prevent a vacuum. So moving forward on the equipment pad, there are a number of items on the equipment pad that we need to consider as part of code. The first is the 4 pipe diameters of straight pipe requirement in front of the pump. In order to make the water laminar instead of turbulent, it needs to have some space to do so. And so if you have a 3-inch pipe attached to the front of that pump, you multiply 3 inches times 4, and you need 12 inches of straight pipe that any fittings, sensors, check valves, T's, 45s, 90s, nothing. It needs to be straight so that the water can flow in a laminar fashion. This is very important because if you're using a 3-inch pipe, you're probably using a larger pump. And those pumps can be up to 2.5 feet long. And you add that another foot of pipe in front of it. If you're trying to stick that in a 5-foot easement from the fence to the house, you are running out of feet to put your rest of your equipment in. So plan your equipment pads accordingly. Next, there needs to be 18 inches of pipe available after the filter so that somebody who comes in after you, like a solar heating operation, can come in there and tap into your equipment set without disturbing any check valves, required space around a chlorinator, or removing any check valves or any valves that you may deem important for the function of your pool. Next, we want to make sure there are gauges that are functional on your filter pump. One of these gauges that is attached to the front side of the pump is a vacuum gauge, and it indicates how hard the pool pump is having to work to draw water into its impeller. And the pressure gauge shows how hard the impeller is having to fling or push water back to return pool through the equipment all the way back to get that water back to the pool itself. We take these two numbers that the pump is reading at its maximum capacity in both pool and spa mode where applicable. We put them into a formula and it shows us what the total dynamic head or resistance to flow is in your pool. We then take that information and put it on the pump curve, and that will show us what the gallons per minute the pump is operating at maximum capacity. From there, we'll compare that to our previous inspection, and it should show that you have sufficient pipes to flow the pool in less than 8 feet per second. Next, there are aftermarket flow meters that are available. We have not found they have been successful in recording accurate data, and they are permanent. Each of these FlowViz and the other flow meter cost about $100, $150 a piece and are permanent parts of the equipment set, whereas these gauges cost $12 a piece and are available at most major plumbing and Amazon and Grainger and other pool supply warehouses. So the next thing we need to look for is to make sure the filter can be vented. Most, if not all major manufacturers' filters can be vented. And we also need to make sure it matches the plans. If your client opted for a cartridge filter instead of your DE or sand filter, the resistance to flow just went down. And if you were close on your pipes, you switch out the filter, you may run into a situation where your water is going to flow too fast. So consider that when you're changing ships midstream. And lastly, on your equipment set, you want to make sure there's a sanitizing system. If you'll see the equipment set on the right, you've got a big Hayward 950 pump, you've got a large 580 filter, a heater, and then pipes and valves to move it back to the pool, but there's no means by which to add the chlorine, which is in those boxes, to the pool water. And that pretty much negates the function of a sanitizing filtration pump. So make sure there's a means by which to sanitize the water. As long as it's properly sized, it can be chlorine, bromine, salt that creates chlorine, UV ozone, AOP, copper or silver ions, whatever works for you and your clients, as long as, again, properly sized. Next, if there was a slide or diving board involved, we want to make sure to be able to check the slide and diving board envelopes. If there was a ladder installed, we want to make sure that it is compliant, and if it needed to be bonded, that it has been included in that bonding series. The third big item, besides flow rate and that other one, is that there are handholds available within 12 inches of the water line where the pool is deeper than 3'6". So these handholds need to be present every 4 feet or less. And in most pools, that handhold is the coping as it overlaps the tile. So this pool is fine all the way around here in the shallower area, but once you get to that raised beam, there's nothing to hold on to. So if little Johnny's in the corner of this pool underneath this water feature, his buddy throws a football at his head, he needs something to hold on to while he gets his bearings. And right now, there isn't anything for him. If there is a step or a set of benches, in this case, or a bench and a beach, you don't need a handhold. But again, back in front of this raised multiple spillover spa, if this is in water deeper than 3'6", you have to have a handhold somewhere here. It needs to be above the water line, not below. Same on this pool on the right. It's got split face travertine, which is not a real functional handhold. And then a bench across the back, which should be okay if it's shallower than 20 inches. Then back on the left side, again, nothing to hold on to. And I assume this pool is deeper than 3'6". Again, you still have the issue with the spillover in the spa unless there's a bench in front of it. So consider that in your planning. You don't want to end up having to put a rope and float and kind of damage the aesthetics of your beautiful pools that y'all are building. Well, yeah, plan ahead. And again, this spa was built in the shallow area, so it didn't need to have a handle in front of it. So there's a lot of options out there. If you want to get creative and have a handhold, we have seen quite a few. So reach out to us and we'll help you out discern what option is best for you and your client. Next, and the number one reason why pool final inspections fail is the barrier. Barrier is a passive means by which to prevent somebody from entering the pool, or AKA an attractive nuisance. That barrier must be at least 4 feet tall and non-scalable. If there are gates in that fence or barrier, they need to be outswinging, self-closing with a hasp 54 inches above grade. We will not be testing the door and window alarms, as those are inspected by the city of Austin, and you shouldn't have to go through that process twice. And finally, the auto pool cover, if it is compliant with code, can serve as your barrier. The gate on the right is non-compliant because it swings inward. That hasp is 48 inches above grade, and the rusted spring did not allow that gate to swing closed. So that's just a point of interest on that particular barrier. What we've also noticed is that there are more and more multiple horizontal runner fences getting put up in this area. A lot of them are coming as good neighbor fences, where you have 8 feet of pickets facing the pool and then 8 feet facing the neighbor. Well, on the back side of that, it could have these 3 runners, which are scalable if they're closer together than 45 inches. It is possible to mitigate this middle one and make it unscalable by putting a wedge on top of it from just a cut 2x2 and mitigate that scalability at a fairly low charge. So consider that when you're doing site visits, and communicate that to your homeowners so that they can be taken care of before final inspection instead of during. Once all that's done, we will have a third-party residential pool and spa inspection checklist put together for you and uploaded to your web portal, and then you can upload that to the city and call on your final inspection. These checklists will be available on your web portal, which we will get into in just a few moments. Right after we go over the schedule. So the items that we inspected are the third-party pre-layout, or the stuff in orange. So you start your project after your permit is issued, you do a city tree pre-construction meeting. And at that meeting, they'll make sure that any tree that is impacted by the construction of your project is mitigated, and the damage that may be done to them. Then we do our third-party pre-layout. You don't need to be on site to do that inspection. We just review your documents and make sure you have a plan for a code-compliant pool. Then you call in your city layout inspection after uploading your ISPSC-2018 form. And once that's passed, you're free to dig, form, steel, plumb, pipe, and bond your pool. Once that bonding inspection is scheduled, call us up or schedule a third-party pre-shell inspection, and we will knock that out for you when you're on site. If the pool is being built concurrently with a house, it is often the case where the builder will manifold the pipes next to the pool, and then at a later date, dig the equipment trench and put the equipment and pipes in their designed location. If that is the case, please take pictures of the equipment trench so that we know you have preserved the pipe diameter and quantity from the pool all the way to the equipment set. Then at pre-final, make sure all your trades are final or close to it. Everything's up and running, and we can do our third-party pre-final inspection with the gauges installed on your filter pump. And that pretty much is it. Next, we're going to pivot over to our projects over at inspected.cloud. So for your projects, you will go to inspected.cloud and log in using your username and the password that we have emailed over to you. Once you're logged in, you can then choose to start a new project. Let me back this up real quick. So I go over here and grab inspected.cloud. I can sign in, and so if you had projects, they'd be listed out like these are here. I can go ahead and choose the municipalities to narrow us down. So here's some projects that are out here. You can select your projects and view what inspections have been done, any notes that may be present on the job, any project messages between us and you, as well as you can view your inspections and see what kind of notes, pictures, comments, as well as other uploaded documents here. When you start building a project, please have, again, those items that we requested at your pre-layout inspection, the pump curve, the construction plan, and any other supporting documents that may help us better understand your project, such as pictures or a hydraulic plan if you have one. But to start a new project, you'll simply go click this new project button here, and it will pop up here. And what we've got is that you can, excuse me, have a list of the client who are billing for, the phone number, email, address, and the municipality. Once that's installed, check that box here. That's not a switch over from building department. It doesn't require a notary. These are inspections only, and it's going to be a new pool. Once that's done, you create the place where the pool is going to go. Then you select new permit. The new permit at the property, we're going to select a pool combo because that's the only one that's available. Permit number is 2022-123456. You don't need to put inspected on the permit. You don't need an expiration date. You don't need to put the verified permit and click create. Now this has created your permit. All you're going to do now is skip the plan review and select issued by Muni. We are ready to upload our documents. To upload documents, you simply click add at the bottom of other documents. Find the document type. It's typically going to be other. You can put it in any of those folders, and then click to find a file to upload. Put this, let's see, yeah, we'll just add that right there. And then that will upload naturally. But again, construction plan, pump curve, ISPSC-2018 folder. Once those are put in, you click schedule inspection. You can then select a date, a inspection, and a time. Click schedule. Once that's scheduled, if it's a pre-layout inspection, just click join inspection. To do so, go to your schedule, and you'll find that there is a scheduled inspection for you in yellow. You will then take that yellow box, click the top right corner of it, and click join call. And from there, you'll have an interface. You can discuss with the inspector, walk them around the job site if you are in person. But effectively, this is the view that you get. We'll have a camera up here showing me, or the other inspector, your project, and of course, my face staring back at you. Once you've gone through that, we'll make some notes, take some screenshots, live video record it, and finish the inspection. Once that's done, we're off to the races. And once you have completed final inspection, it is possible we will have the final document here on your portal. But as far as the maintenance of your web portal, yours will have a settings sprocket right down here where you can add other users, as well as up top here, you'll have the ability to change your notifications so that if you want to have text messages or emails at any threshold in your project, when the inspector shows up, etc., you can have that done for you, and we can notify you of those activities. But without further ado, I believe we are done with our onboarding. If you have any questions, we are always available via phone, text message, or email. If we don't answer the phone, we're most likely in an inspection or on an onboarding meeting like this one. But we're happy to help you build more safer, energy efficient, code compliant pools, and also be a partner with you in this building scenario so that you can work with us and be a partner to resolve any challenges that you may encounter. But we look forward to working with you and are glad you chose Inspected to be your third party residential inspector. Thank you very much and have a nice day.